This review of Ender Lilies Quietus of the Night is spoiler free. If you had told me at the beginning of last year that in 2021 Metroidvanias would be one of my favourite genres in gaming, I would have thought you were full of it. As much as I love my time with the Guacamelee series and Hollow Knight, overall the genre didn't interest me at all until 2020. In 2020 I decided to give a few Metroidvanias a crack simply because I had always been intrigued with their visuals. I played Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Blasphemous, and Song of the Deep. Subtle plugs, wink wink, nudge nudge, links in the description. And the reason I checked out so many in the span of a year was because I loved my time with each one of these games. Whether it was the beauty of exploring in Ori, the dark, unique atmosphere and subject matter of Blasphemous, or the childhood wonder of exploring the oceans in Song of the Deep. Each one of these titles hooked me in and didn't let me go, and it got to a point where I just had to admit that I'm a fan of the genre now. So when Ender Lilies was brought to my attention through a PR company asking if I'd be interested in checking the game out, well, I'd do what I usually do and make sure it's all legit and give the game a quick Google. I loved the look of the game and it was set in a genre I was interested in, so I said yes. That was back in March when Ender Lilies was still in early access though, and with a confirmed full release slated for late June, I decided to wait until I could play the full game. And well, now here we are. Ender Lilies Quietus of the Night is out of early access. The complete game is here, and yes, it was worth the wait because this is an incredible game and well worth your time if you're a fan of the Metroidvania genre. Let's jump into specifics though, and I'll explain why. As always with these types of videos, I want to thank the developers for the review copy of the game and to reassure you, the viewer, that whilst free things are nice and I'm incredibly grateful that I'm in this situation, I would never recommend a game I didn't believe deserved your attention and your hard-earned money. The story of Ender Lilies begins after a disease known as Blight has destroyed the kingdom of Land's End and turned all of its inhabitants into what are known as the Blighted. A young woman named Lily awakens in a secret room in a destroyed church, welcomed by the spirit of a knight, a spirit bound to Lily for her protection. With the knight's help, we're on a mission to navigate through the ruins of the Blighted Kingdom and try and recollect Lily's memories. That's just the story's premise, and I don't want to devolve any more information about it here because for me, the big contributing factor into why I wanted to constantly pick up the controller again after finishing a session was due to how much the story intrigued me. This world and its characters are shrouded in mystery, and much like other Souls-likes, the story isn't straight up told to the player. You need to pay attention to what characters are saying and read through the notes hidden throughout each area to try and assemble the story yourself. For a long time you may be wondering what the hell is going on with this story, but trust me, the longer you stay in this world, the more the pieces begin to fall into place, and I love those moments of, "Oh, now I see." This form of storytelling isn't for everyone, but if you're a fan of the channel, you know that this is right up my alley, and this world is worth learning more about. Not everyone is going to be as captivated and intrigued by Ender Lilies' story though, so thankfully the gameplay here is just as engaging. Now, if you're a Metroidvania fan, you know what to expect in terms of how the world works and the general flow of gameplay. You have a wealth of branching paths leading to numerous different areas, but many will contain roadblocks until you unlock more abilities, forcing you to venture back and finally explore more of each area. Look, you either like this style of gameplay or you don't. It is a lot of backtracking, but I've grown to really love this aspect of the genre because it entices the player to explore each area heavily, as maybe said roadblock path contains just a secret and doesn't actually halt progression. This style of exploration and world design at times can lead to the player feeling a little lost, which I did experience early on here, but that just means you have more of a chance of finding the many secrets, relics, story notes, upgrades and upgrade materials, mini bosses, resting points, or even just stumbling your way through an area to find one of the main bosses. Exploring in Ender Lilies is a great time, and sure, backtracking through the same area time and time again, trying to find our way through, can be tedious, but those occasions are few and far between. Ender Lilies is an action-based Metroidvania though, leaning into the Souls-like genre like a Blasphemous or Hollow Knight, which again, is right up my alley. What makes the combat here interesting though is the spirits. As Lily, you mostly just have access to a jump and dodge, and your spirits are what inflicts the damage. Lily has 2 spirit loadouts, of which she can choose 3 spirits apiece. You collect different spirits through boss battles and upgrade them with materials found throughout the world. Each spirit is different. Some have a limited number of attacks or a cooldown until you reach another resting point, and some have an infinite amount of uses. Some attack at a distance, some are up close and personal. Some are quick and deal small damage quickly, some are slow but pack a punch. Some spirits are tightly tethered to Lily, and others can be left behind to attack whilst Lily retreats. There is a lot of variety in this system, and everyone's setup is going to be different. Like for instance, I like the ability to stun enemies, having a range option if needed, and a nice speedy damage dealer, but that just takes up 3 slots out of 6, which leaves a lot of room for experimentation. Every area is going to have different weaknesses, and the more spirits you have access to, the more prepared you can be for battle, which again encourages you to go out and explore each area to find these spirits and battle them. Now, the combat in regards to the areas themselves serves more as a testing grounds for the different spirits for the main bosses. Most enemies only take a few hits depending on your spirit, but there is obviously a lot of them to fill the area, making for more of an endurance race to try and either complete an area or find another resting point. Don't get me wrong, late game these areas can really become a serious challenge as they up the platforming and combat difficulty, even an area filled with hard to avoid enemies and an area effect that slowly kills you. But the true challenge and where the combat for me really does shine is within the main bosses. These battles are where you learn how to best use your spirits in tandem with one another, along with utilizing Lily's iframes in her dodge and dash. I seriously had a great time with these battles, and whilst initially they do come off as not too challenging, I'd consider those fights more teaching tools because they do up the challenge quick and make for some truly stressful encounters. A few of these fights made me retry them over and over and over again, and as the sadistic person I am, I loved that because they are fair fights, making you question your spirit choice at times, and that challenge just makes the satisfaction of defeating these bosses all the sweeter. Before we close out this review, I also want to comment on both the visuals and the soundtrack here because both are just so beautiful. The visuals, as I said, was a big reason why I wanted to see what this game was about, but I didn't expect to be drenched in such a thick and mysterious atmosphere. The various environments, bosses, and character designs are visually a joy to look at, venture through, and conquer, and when paired with the incredible soundtrack, makes for this both unnerving and somehow wondrous atmosphere. I honestly don't have many, if any, complaints about Ender Lilies, at least in regards to this spoiler-free format, and even then, we're talking nitpicks. Ender Lilies blew me away from start to finish. The story is compelling and yet not forced onto the player, leading to a choice on whether the player wants to learn more. The combat is unique and filled with variety. The bosses are a real highlight and perfectly shows off the combat. The exploration is so satisfying and each area is filled with all sorts of worthwhile goodies, and visually and audibly, this game is just incredible. I mean, what else can I say? If you're a fan of the Metroidvania genre, especially enjoying games like Blasphemous or Hollow Knight, then Ender Lilies is an easy recommendation. And even if this usually isn't your cup of tea, it is quite beginner friendly, so I'd recommend at least keeping an eye on it for a potential sale in the future because the game is seemingly on everything. It's on PC, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One, Series S and X, and trust me, this is a special game. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been a while since we've done a new game review, but I really wanted to bring Ender Lilies to more people's attention if I could. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like because it helps let me know that you enjoyed yourself. Comment below your thoughts on Ender Lilies if you've played it. Try and keep it spoiler free or warn people if it's not, as well as any suggestions for games you want to see covered in the future. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, go give my socials a follow if you're fancy at MayorHairBear, and I'll catch you all in the next video.